She was a 16-year-old lifeguard in a quiet Massachusetts town, and within minutes of starting her shift, she vanished without a trace. No struggle, no witnesses, only her neatly placed belongings left behind. 25 years later, investigators are still chasing answers, and the truth about what happened to Molly Bish remains one of America's most haunting, unsolved mysteries. Molly Ann Bish was born on August 2, 1983, the youngest of 3 children in the Bish family. Her parents, Maggie and John, decided to leave Detroit, Michigan when Molly was just a year old, searching for a calmer and safer environment to raise their children. They settled in Warren, Massachusetts, a small rural town surrounded by woods, fields, and quiet neighborhoods. This move shaped the setting of Molly's childhood, a place defined by community familiarity and natural surroundings that offered the peaceful life her parents hoped for. Molly grew up as an energetic and athletic child, someone who loved being outdoors and staying active. She played soccer, basketball, and softball, embracing each sport with enthusiasm. Her personality reflected kindness and empathy, balanced with a silly and creative nature that made her stand out. She was known not only for her humor and warmth, but also for the way she connected with others. Her sister Heather described her as a bright light, someone whose absence would leave a hole in our heart, expressing how deeply Molly influenced those around her. Academically, Molly excelled as a dedicated student and honor roll achiever. By age 16, she was ready for a new step toward independence. The opportunity came during the summer of 2000 when she proudly accepted her first job as a lifeguard at Comins Pond, a local recreation area in Warren. For Molly, the position represented trust, responsibility, and the beginning of young adulthood. It symbolized her growing confidence and readiness to contribute to her community. Her family supported her enthusiasm, unaware that this milestone would become a defining part of her story. On June 26, 2000, the day before Molly Bish disappeared, her mother Maggie drove her to her lifeguard job at Comins Pond as she normally did. When they arrived, Maggie noticed a man sitting alone in a late-model white sedan. He had dark hair, a mustache, and was smoking a cigarette. Something about his behavior unsettled her. He did not smile, nod, or look away. Instead, he stared directly at her with an expression she later described as cocky and unsettling. Maggie paused for a moment, locking eyes with him before driving off. Although the interaction felt strange, she convinced herself at the time that he was simply a passerby, unaware that this detail would become significant the following morning. On June 27th, Maggie again drove Molly to Comins Pond for her shift. This time, the white sedan was gone. A sand truck was parked near the beach where workers were unloading material, and the activity made Maggie feel reassured about Molly's safety. She hugged her daughter, left her at the lifeguard chair, and drove away, completely unaware she was seeing her alive for the last time. Another witness later reported seeing a man resembling the same stranger in the parking lot shortly before Molly arrived that morning. A local worker also recalled a similar white car parked near a cemetery connected to the pond by a wooded path. A few hours later, police contacted the Bish family to report that no lifeguard had been on duty all day. Maggie rushed to the pond and found Molly's sandals, lunch bag, two-way radio, and first aid kit neatly arranged beside the chair. Molly was nowhere to be found, and the family immediately feared she had been abducted. The search for Molly Bish began within hours of her disappearance on June 27, 2000. What started as a routine check quickly escalated into the largest and most expensive search effort in Massachusetts history. Police, firefighters, state officials, and volunteers poured into the area surrounding Comins Pond. Helicopters circled overhead, scanners buzzed with constant updates, and divers searched the pond for any sign of her. Search dogs followed a scent trail leading from the beach toward a cemetery path, but the trail ended abruptly, offering no clear direction. Rumors spread that Molly might have drowned, yet her neatly arranged belongings and untouched rescue equipment strongly suggested otherwise. From the beginning, her family believed she had been abducted. Over the following days, the search expanded into nearby towns, forests, and roadways. Hundreds of volunteers joined the effort, forming lines and walking shoulder to shoulder through dense woods. Flyers with Molly's photo were distributed across New England, and the Bish family launched one of the earliest email campaigns to spread her story nationwide. Maggie worked closely with forensic sketch artist Jean Bolin to create a composite drawing of the suspicious man she had seen. The addition of a cigarette in the sketch captured a detail she believed reflected the man's unsettling presence. Despite the intense attention, solid leads failed to emerge. Witnesses reported seeing a white sedan at both the pond and the nearby cemetery, yet no one could identify the driver. National programs, such as America's Most Wanted and Unsolved Mysteries, featured the case, but the investigation stalled as tips produced little progress. As months turned into years, the case grew cold, leaving the community and Molly's family searching for answers. In the fall of 2002, more than 2 years after Molly Bish vanished, a hunter walking through the woods on Whiskey Hill in Palmer noticed a piece of blue fabric lying on the forest floor. At the time, he did not connect it to the missing case and chose not to report it. Months later, in early 2003, he mentioned the discovery to a friend, who recognized its possible significance and alerted law enforcement. This conversation set in motion a renewed effort to search the rugged area, located roughly 5 miles from the Bish family home. Investigators organized a large, coordinated search of the steep, heavily wooded terrain. More than 200 officers and volunteers participated, moving slowly and carefully through thick underbrush and uneven ground. It was one of the most challenging search operations the team had encountered, but they continued forward step by step. On June 9, 2003, their persistence led to a heartbreaking discovery. Human remains were located in the area identified by the hunter, and forensic testing later confirmed they belonged to 16-year-old Molly Bish. Due to extensive decomposition, medical examiners were unable to determine an exact cause of death. However, foul play was certain. The discovery ended the search for Molly, but marked the beginning of a new phase in the investigation. Molly's funeral was held on August 2, 2003, the day she would have turned 19. Her family, friends, and community gathered to say goodbye, finally able to lay her to rest after 3 years of uncertainty. Although the remains provided closure about her fate, they offered little in the way of answers, leaving investigators with a case that remained open and unresolved. After Molly's remains were found in 2003, investigators continued working through every possible lead, beginning a long and complex series of developments that unfolded over the next 2 decades. In 2005, a Connecticut man charged with attempted kidnapping in New York was briefly examined as a potential suspect, but no evidence linked him to Molly's case. The investigation then shifted in 2009 when the name Rodney Stanger emerged. Stanger had lived in Southbridge, Massachusetts, near Warren, for more than 20 years and moved to Florida 1 year after Molly disappeared. He had access to a white car similar to the one seen by Maggie, was known to fish at Comins Pond, and hunted in the same woods where Molly's remains were discovered. His longtime girlfriend, Crystal Morrison, was murdered in Florida, and her sister contacted Massachusetts authorities, believing Stanger could be connected to both crimes. Stanger was questioned but never charged. In 2011, attention turned to Gerald Battistoni, a convicted rapist with a violent criminal history. He resembled the composite sketch and had spent time in the area where Molly was found. After media outlets named him as a possible suspect, he attempted suicide in prison and later died in 2014. DNA evidence was sent to Texas for analysis, but no conclusive results were made public. In 2021, investigators identified Francis Frank Sumner Sr. as a new person of interest. Sumner, a registered sex offender with a history of aggravated rape and kidnapping, lived in the region at the time and drove a white vehicle. He had died in 2016, but police obtained his son's DNA for comparison. The results were negative, yet Sumner remained a strong person of interest. Despite thousands of tips and advancing forensic technology, no arrest has been made. In the years following Molly Bish's death, her family transformed their grief into a mission dedicated to protecting other children and improving how missing person cases are handled. In 2004, Maggie and John Bish established the Molly Bish Center and Foundation in collaboration with Anna Maria College. The foundation focused on child safety education, community outreach, and the creation of child identification kits. These kits, containing fingerprints and essential identification details, were designed to help families and law enforcement respond quickly in the event of a disappearance. More than 850,000 kits were distributed across New England, becoming one of the Foundation's most impactful initiatives. Maggie also played a key role in advocating for the development of the Amber Alert system in Massachusetts. At the time of Molly's disappearance, the state did not have such a system in place. Maggie worked with lawmakers, including Senator Ted Kennedy, to push for its adoption, ensuring future cases would benefit from immediate, coordinated alerts. As years passed, the investigation into Molly's murder remained active, though answers were still elusive. By 2025, more than 6,700 tips had been reviewed, and over 267 pieces of physical evidence were stored at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab for potential testing using advanced DNA and genetic genealogy tools. In 2023, the district attorney reaffirmed his commitment to solving the case, emphasizing that new forensic technology could uncover what earlier methods could not. Heather Bish continued to advocate for transparency and improved investigative practices, expressing concerns about early assumptions that Molly may have run away. Each year, the family held vigils at Comins Pond to honor Molly's memory. Even after 25 years, the Bish family remained determined, stating they had never given up hope for justice.